I'm gonna use this. Simon, were you gonna be able to join us? We know how hard you've worked on this, too. Yeah, this is a long day, and I know it's been information packed and stuff, and everybody's probably dragging a little bit, but I feel like we've saved the best for last. We're going to be talking about, of course, I think we came up with safer homes, better communities, or something like that. We could have had a billion different titles, really. But at the end of the day, the conversation ends up being about building codes. Which seems kind of odd, right? Because in the state of South Dakota, none of our tribes have adopted building codes. I think we've got one tribe in North Dakota, Rick, is that right?
Yep.
3 affiliated or whatever they're going by now. But why is that? I mean, why do we need building codes? And I'm gonna just ask for anybody who has any experience working, either for the housing authorities or in a contractor in one of our local tribal communities. Why do we need building codes? Would you be in favor or against? Who?
In favor.
There.
Why?
So it doesn't fall down.
Yeah, so everything's up to code.
Right.
Sustainability.
Oh, I like it. Good. Okay, good. Because, well, first of all, we're talking about two different situations, right? 2 different types of codes. And for the purpose of this discussion, because we are the South Dakota Native Home Ownership Coalition, we're talking about residential building codes. Residential building codes, and as opposed to commercial building codes, even though I think we need both. No tribe has either. So the residential building codes, though, is especially important. I think it's something that the coalition has felt strongly in promoting for as many years as we've existed. Why? Don't we want safer homes for our families? At the end of the day, it drives me nuts, honestly, because I see how hard the process is for our Native families to achieve home ownership. It takes years between getting the TSRs, working with your BIA and with your local tribal offices and stuff, to work with your mortgage lender to get the loan approved. And then you end up hiring a contractor who doesn't have any codes to keep them honest in some ways, or no inspections to enforce those codes. And you end up, this Native family has spent $200,000 and gone through 2 years of grief to get this home, and then it's crap. And then you have structural issues with it. It costs more probably because it wasn't done right. It's gonna cost you more for as long as you have that home, because you're gonna have to continue redoing it. It has a health impact. Dustin, I know you sent me some stats on the homes that are built to code and inspected. They're safer homes, less mold, for instance. What are the other health impacts of a safer, more structurally sound home? So that's why we feel strongly about it. The coalition has for the last 5 years done 4 different trainings, 3 different trainings, 4 different trainings, to help us increase the number of ICC certified inspectors. So we don't have codes, but we can still have certified inspectors, and we can have Mazaska, for example, that steps up, raises the bar. Even if our tribes aren't going to enforce codes or code inspection, building inspections, we have the lenders who can adopt their own policies that say, no, we need that home to be inspected by an ICC certified inspector. They're doing that. So more and more we're trying to enforce this kind of in a backwards way, which is fine. We'll still get it done, I hope. But that's why the coalition has felt so strongly about doing this. With those trainings, then we've done it in a variety of different ways. We went from a week-long, all in-person training. I think our first training was maybe 75 people. I think we had 3 certified inspectors.
Yep.
Out of 75 people. I think we've trained over 100 people, probably more like 110 or so, over the course of the years through these different inspector trainings. But I have to say that we're getting closer and closer because we have one of Monica's staff, Archie Marshall, out of our group of 11, we had one pass. So our percentage is getting better, right? That's a 11%, 10% success rate or whatever. And we did a combination with that one of virtual. These are all ICC trainings, certified trainings. And we did a combination of virtual and then in person. And so we're not giving up on this. We're gonna continue to tweak the training model and all of that, working with ICC to increase the number of certified inspectors. So, so with that, we're gonna go with, shall we do an introduction of the panel? Let's go start with the introduction quick and then we'll go to David's video.
Okay.
You want this?
Good afternoon. I work in the development office for the Rosebud Housing Authority, and we have between the tribe and the housing authority, we have 4 inspectors. One of them did receive their ICC inspector certification. And just like Tawney said, it's to have our houses be able to pass inspection so that we keep our contractors in the loop and keep them as to what's needed to be done to that home according to our plans. And to make it safe and better for our people. Not saying it wasn't before, but it will be better for our people. And to get Indian, Native American Indian, certified inspectors, I really think that's so awesome. We're just gonna plug away at it. We're gonna keep going till we get some more inspectors. Changing the way we look at things, view things, visual things, we're gonna continue that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom Paisley. I'm the building official for the city of Spearfish. I'm the past president of South Dakota Building Officials and past president of the International Code Council Region 3. City of Spearfish just adopted the 2021 edition of the codes, and I'll just talk to you guys about a little bit of code adoption and what you can do with amendments and things like that. And I've been in this business for a long time, doing this for about 26 years, and we average about 110, 120 houses every year in Spearfish, so we do a lot of plan review, everything from building inspection, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, all the way to a final inspection for your certificate of occupancy.
My name is David Jackson. I'm an enrolled member of the Gila River Indian Community in southern Arizona. We refer to ourselves as the Akimo Akum, which means the river people. I was formerly employed with the Gila River as a combination inspector responsible for residential and commercial inspections. The Gila River Indian Community has a long history of code adoption going back to the 1960s. Prior to my departure, I was proud to say that at the time our inspection staff is 100% community member, and we were 100% ICC certified. So we were all community members protecting our own community members' interests, which brought a whole new level of pride and awareness and dedication to the job, because we knew it was our families that were going into these homes. We knew that it was these buildings that were a source of economic revenue for our people, and we did not take that lightly, and we're quite proud of what we've accomplished, and we want to help out with any other tribes or learn from any other tribes as much as we can.
Like the panel before, my name is Simon Keeble, Assistant Washington Housing Authority. My office is the contracting specialist office, and there's 2 parts to it. My part, as I said like last time, is the aggregate building part of it. I have the contractor construction background, business education. And the other half of it, Mr. David Spider, he's ICC inspector. He's the engineer, in-house engineer that we fall back on when we need opinions on certain things. So we're kind of a one-stop shop, our office, and I'm trying to become the ICC inspector, also, so we kind of just, our executive director assembled us together as a team, and we work hand in hand with each other. And one of the biggest things we've had was there's a big span of like 30 years where nothing was built. And that 30-year span, those houses in that 30 years are pretty dilapidated, so we set out to absorb the building codes, adapt them, and build a better, healthier house.
Let's go with the video.
Lasting safety and opportunity. Thanks. SWHA Sustainability Membership Council's video series, Saving the World One Building at a Time. Join us as Building Inspector David Jackson shows us how building code continuity is creating lasting safety and opportunities in his community.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Jackson, and I'm the building inspector for the Gila River Indian Community. The following is a little bit of footage of what we do in the day-to-day business. So what is it that we do? We as inspectors are responsible for the fair and consistent enforcement and application of the building code to ensure that the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural connections of a facility are adapted to the construction documents and to code standards. We as Gila River have adopted the 2012 I-Code, which we enforce throughout our boundaries. It is important because it's an exercise in our sovereignty. It gives us a legal document which we can cite to provide to a contractor about why the construction has to be done a certain way. We can specifically cite when construction standards are not met, either through construction documents or to the applicable code section, and therefore we can ensure that that work is corrected or abated. These structures are meant to last for decades. And with a community which is struggling to keep its resources and protect what little it has, or however much it has, every building means something. It means something to the cultural and to the environment of its people. And in order to be proactive in your ability to enforce code and to demand a minimum set of construction standards, an I-Code must be adopted. I'm blessed to have worked with a jurisdiction with a long history of code adoption going back to 1960s. I myself am a community member. I came in through an apprentice program and was able to learn construction means and methods, as well as code language and verbiage, and the application of the code to field conditions. I work as a combination inspector. I am responsible for commercial and residential projects within my designated zone within the boundaries of the community. I take great pride in that. The structures that we create and inspect today are going to benefit the people. Their homes that they carry on for generations. They're the sources of economic development that will bring resources to our people. And that is why I am proud to be a code inspector. I'm doing my part in a group of a team to ensure that the final product which is delivered to my community is that to the highest standard. We set the bar and you meet or exceed it, which I'm glad to say happens consistently. I just want to say, everyone out there, enjoy Building Safety Month in May. Native American communities, be proactive in adopting a code if you have not. Reach out to ICC if you need any research or assistance with adopting a code. I can help, we all can help, we all want to improve Native American communities. Till next time.
I bet you weren't talking the whole time. You
Join
had a
us.
mask on, right? You just added it later. All right, thanks for the video. We're gonna start with, Simon, actually. Simon, if you could just share a little bit about, what your, how you're, working with inspectors and if you're doing anything to help increase the number of inspectors and why on System.
Like I said earlier, the contracting specialist office had a few problems that we had to solve, and coming up with the solutions to those. One, getting the contractors to not hate codes. To convince them that, you know, all it is a series of instructions on how to construct, you know, the structure. Second thing was some of the remodel stuff that we had to do. When you take it all the way down to bare bones and just see the construction, that, you know, you can tell that there was no inspector or no codes or nothing followed. It was our responsibility to fix what was wrong. We couldn't leave it like that. It was, and so after seeing all that, and then it's just redundant. So we're, you know, so we just kind of set out to, you know, David got his IRC certification. Graduating from Lincoln Area Technical Institute way back when. I have friends and colleagues that, you know, are contractors and builders. And so we set out and not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I've been asking them and picking their brains, and they've been giving me help along the way, the basics of the codes, the electrical, the plumbing, the mechanical, the framing. And it's taken a lot, but I feel that we've righted the ship and we're in the right direction now. But we need more inspectors, even on any reservation. They're not bad people. They're there to help, and the knowledge that they have is you know, can sometimes be life saving, or is life saving, you know. And like I said, it just creates an overall, you know, better and safer place to live or place to congregate.
So you basically used another community's codes, is that right?
I have a few friends that build out here in Pennington County, and I think it's like the 150 point something code here for the city, I believe, where some of them, they've helped me and give me the basics of those. I have some friends that build in Minnehaha, which is the Sioux Falls metro area, and they've given me a bunch of help on that. And I noticed, you know, that combining the codes, there's a lot of it's the same, except for like out here, the bedrock and what's under the ground is a lot different than on the east side of the state. But yeah, so it's good having colleagues and networking and people that, you know something that you don't, and you can ask them and they're helpful along the way.
What do you feel are next steps? I mean, do you feel like you're gonna try to get your tribe to adopt a code officially, or?
Right now, we're in baby steps. Our office is the only one probably in that area, that has an inspector, and hopefully two after I get mine. But we're trying to blend that and bring the contractors along at the same time. So they're more versed on codes, and they're not having to redo something that they did. You know, we had to shut down a project and they have to tear it all down, put it all back the right way. Once we're trying to get the overall mentality of do it right the first time.
Perfect, thank you. Monica, what do you have going on in Rosebud?
Well, we always had inspectors at the housing authority. But I want those inspectors to get this code, and housing authority has adopted the, American, what is it called, the ICC anyway, residential code. The tribe, I believe they haven't adopted a code yet, although Archie Marshall does work for the tribe also. He's worked for the housing authority, he's gained knowledge, he's worked with contractors, he's gained knowledge. He works with the tribe now, and we have 3 other inspectors, and 2 of them, I'm hoping they pass their test. I told them, study, if you don't pass, you're gaining knowledge, try it again, just keep pushing to try it again. My thinking is, it helps our people, but we don't ever wanna go back to this predatory lending, and people were throwing modulars or trailer mobile homes out there, and disaster. So I would rather see us doing, checking on modulars. I want our inspectors to look at that when they come out. I want them to help Habitat for Humanity or, other lenders, and I would like for us to go further and upgrade our tenant landlord code for lenders. Our tenant landlord code is old. So we need to put lenders in there, borrowers in there. We need to put the tenants also in there, and what they can bring to the table and what we can do to help them, so that it's a success for them also. I'd like to foresee the housing authority to do some loan down payments for them to help get that home down. There's different things, there's so much to construction and building a home. And it's all for the people so that they have a nice home for their families.
Can you explain a little bit more about the landlord-tenant code, though? How would that ensure a safer home somehow, or some quality of construction?
Our tribe right now, I don't even think has where you can go if they went in default. If they go in default, what can we do to help them and the lender, because they have to pay that lender back. We don't just want a bunch of section 184s out there or lenders out there and they're all in default. We have to figure, how are we gonna help the lenders? How are we gonna help the tenants so that they stay in that home? Because it's a long-term loan, and we have to think that way. We're used to not thinking that way. We're used to housing will give you a home. It's their treaty right, but also they have an obligation and responsibility to pay for their home too. Even if we pay on half of it, even if we paid a fourth of it, at least we are paying something off to help them. That's what I'm more concerned about is the lenders, and maybe these lenders will start coming, or the banks start coming. No one's knocking on our doors right now. You know, I want to see something change for them so they have a better home.
Increase the number of
Yeah.
these lenders maybe.
Yeah, we're not all, I don't want them all in low income housing. You know, I want them to deserve something better.
Great. And I think that's been a goal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just, wanted to, not respond to those issues, but feel like what, building code. But I just take for example, in Porcupine, we had, you know, I'm not sure, there's probably other mishaps around the reservation, around our area, my ridge area. But Porcupine, where I live, we had a school, new school that was, designed by one of our tribal members. She's an architect, and she lives in Lincoln, Nebraska, but she did the architect design. It was a nice design, it was lower and upper level. And the contractors from here in Rapid City, who's well-to-do, I won't name any names, but you know, throughout the whole process, everything, you know, whenever a contractor gets designed and according to the, however the design is, they follow that. But sometimes, I'm sure they'll take shortcuts. But in Porcupine's case, on the east end building and also on the west end building, the structure started to cave in a little bit towards the east end and somewhat degree on the west end where the gym floor is. You could tell because of the cracks that developed along the masonry on the bottom floor. And so we had an individual who was a contractor who did the inspection for us at the school, and I thought for sure things were in place, but that happened. But the same contractor went over to Rocky Ford School and built their new school, which was probably completed, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or so. And I went over to their ceremony after they finished. Contractor says, well, we put X amount of concrete on, you know, to prevent any, you know, because of the soil content, and also the soil content, Porcupine, that's because of the side of the hill was a lot of silt and whatnot, and that could have been prevented by more concrete, whatever that should have been in place, or however, what steps should have been taken. But he went on to say that they put on X amount of concrete on, which is at that time was Shannon County schools, and so the county schools had, I don't know if they had more stricter, if they had some type of code they went by or whatever, but so I asked him, how come you didn't do that to Porcupine School? He didn't answer me, they just walked on. Anyway, that was my question, you know, so I think it's somewhat important to have building codes, and as we move forward to private home development, I think we need to have more of that, so, you know, some of our, you know, to, you know, safe wiring or whatever the case may be, structural development, or however the codes go by or developed. So I hope down the road we probably could. I've been on the council for, I don't know, some terms, and nobody has mentioned that from our economic or our business development office when it was running, up and running, and so forth, or maybe at some point in time we need to probably develop that for our area.
Yeah, so you're gonna be in favor of the next tribal council? We're recording this, you know. No, great. Dustin?
I'm glad you
said that actually, we have in our home community, we have a dialysis clinic, and a tornado came by and ripped off half the roof of this dialysis clinic, which sent patients to other clinics in different places, which created a lot of burden. But what was funny was, well, it wasn't funny, it was sad that there was some FEMA trailers that were right there, but they didn't get, nothing happened to them. But half this roof got ripped off. And whenever Tawney was talking about residential codes, I believe that we need ICC commercial codes on our reservations as well, because David Jackson will tell you, a lot of these contractors come onto our reservations, they think it's the Wild West. So I went over to this job site, you know, and I pulled up, and I asked this contractor, I said, what happened here? And I told him about my work around building codes on reservations. And the contractor said, well, I don't wanna get anybody in trouble, but there was a lot of plate nails where screws should have been. So there was obviously no oversight, nobody is watching these guys, and they just built like how they wanted to. They saved time, they saved materials, but what happened? Our community members suffered. Those ones that were going for dialysis treatments, they suffered. So we definitely need building codes, especially commercial codes.
I'd also like to just add to this, you know, his example is a perfect one with codes, but sometimes what happens is, like in your instance, your example, that might not have been a code thing. That could be not getting the proper soils testing done and a proper design. So don't get confused that codes will be the answer to everything. There's the design process that has to go through, and you have to do enough due diligence up front to get a good proper design, especially when it comes to settling, you know, with the structural aspect of it and stuff too. So don't overlook that is my caution also with that codes isn't just the answer. It's a big answer to his point with having screws instead of nails, right? That would have been caught, or even tie down straps, you know, like there's hurricane straps in Houston that you have to do. And depending on, you know, what your wind loads are in different areas and stuff, right? So it's even beyond just whether you use a nail or a screw type thing. But you also have to make sure that you're getting good information to make good designs also.
Great, I don't know where down there. Oh, good, perfect, Tom, keep it. Yay. So I think, I mean, that's good, so we're hearing that there's some interest, you know, that the communities have in knowing more about adopting codes or having their own codes. Can you tell us more about how we might start that process? We're gonna start from scratch, or what?
Well, Simon had a very good point a minute ago about networking, and there's always help out there. Anybody in this room can call me any day of the week, and I'll drop everything I'm doing and answer your question for you. Don't reinvent the wheel. When we just adopted the 21 edition of the city of Spearfish, Belfouche, Lead, Deadwood, Sturgis, all these other communities around me are asking me, what did I amend? How did I do it? I just send them my ordinance. Here's what I did. You guys can do the same exact thing, and that's what they like to do, because a builder doesn't want to come to Spearfish and have to do something different than they can do it in Belfouche, or, well, I don't have to do that in Rapid City. So with us, it's a little bit different. We have to get the codes adopted at the state level first. So the state legislature adopts the code, and each individual municipality can then adopt that latest edition of the code. Spearfish traditionally adopts the most current edition with amendments. And my council, city council, is all about affordability, and contractors don't. A lot of people are thinking, geez, you know, you're gonna adopt these codes, it's gonna make this building cost so much more money, and that's not the case. It is in some instances. For example, the city of Spearfish deleted most of Chapter 11 in the residential code, which is your energy efficiency chapter. They went from an R34 attic unit installation to an R49 is where we're at now, Now they're going to an R60. So that costs more money. So we stayed at the R49. There's a lot of things with lighting and energy efficient standards and fenestration values in windows and things like that we're just not building like that anyway, so we amended that. So it's important to know that if you do want to adopt a code, you have that ability to take out a section, take out a chapter, put in what you want, what fits you. Our snow loads are more significant than yours. So our roofs have to be stronger, our trusses have to be stronger. So we have to amend that code to meet our snow loads and wind speeds. I totally agree with the adopting the building code also. The question that you had, or the example that you were talking about, the building code has chapter 17, which requires special inspections. That would have required them to do a geotech design. A geotechnical engineer would have had to have been involved in that. They have to do soil testing. They have to do compaction testing. They have to do concrete and steel inspections. And that doesn't come from my office, and it doesn't come from the architect, and it doesn't come from the contractor. It comes from a third-party inspector. So, you know, those guys are out there doing those inspections. They're providing those reports to us, and they're ensuring that that foundation's gonna be on a solid footing or soil.
Even moisture and density
Yeah,
checks.
there's that too, moisture and density checks. So, but again, if you're thinking about adopting, if you're out there in the field doing inspections, if you're a contractor that has a question, call me, call any building official in the state of South Dakota. They're gonna help you. I have some pamphlets here that are put out by ICC that are talking about benefits of building codes. I'll just leave those there if somebody wants to take one. The codes are online for free also. You don't have to buy a code book anymore. You can go to the ICC Public Access website, and the residential code is right there. So if you are somewhere like us in Spearfish or Rapid, you do have to know what the amendments are, but those are available on city websites also. So.
All right, so thank you for that. I've got a couple more questions, but I think we're gonna go on to David and just let you share more about your experience with codes and kind of what you've seen in your own community and using and promoting them.
I got a bad knee, so I gotta stand up. What you hear from a lot of people in this group is that there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of common stories about work being done that is substandard, work that had to be reconfigured or cost at more expense to the community. That's what codes are, and that's what you should feel. I say there are 3 ways to look at a code book. We hear from the technical point. We hear how we can strengthen the physical skill sets of the design of a building. I, as a field inspector, use the code book as a guidebook as I walk through a construction site to ensure that it's compliant. The 3rd way, which I think speaks to this audience, is that it's about empowerment. That's what the code book is for the individual tribe. It's an exercise in your sovereignty. You're no longer relying on outside entities or outside jurisdictions to come and enforce laws and regulations within the boundaries of your community. That's empowerment. To me, that's what the code is. And that's why I'm passionate about helping Native American communities adopt a code. It's about sovereignty. It's a piece of legislation that says when you come into my boundaries, you're gonna do things the correct way. And if you do not, I will show you why it's not correct, and I will hold you accountable. That's the tool. That's what the code is. From that standpoint, you can learn and grow with the code to become more technical with it, to become more educated with it, to enforce it better, to get to the point where, like I said, I'm proud of Gila River. When I left, we had a code adoption from about 1960 going back to the Uniform Building Code. We recently adopted in 2012. I think we are going down to the 2018 right now. But we're all community members, down to our administrative assistant, down to our supervisor, down to the guys in the field. They are all enrolled members of our individual tribe, the O'odham people. We have O'odhams protecting O'odhams. That's the way I look at the code in Native American communities. that's what we're striving for, I think, from what I hear with all these individuals trying to pass the test and taking the effort to take this test. It's about empowerment, self-sustaining sovereignty. So not only that, did we get an ICC certified inspectors, all our inspectors took ICC certification tests. So now we have ICC certified Optum members working within the community members to educate the community member when they want to do a renovation on their house. We have Optums out there being on the front lines when it comes to contractors doing large commercial construction, saying, having educated conversations with the architect, the engineer, the owner's rep, the subcontractor. And what I learned, a saying that I learned from the military, which I carry to this day, is confidence through competence. I am confident in my ability to go out there in the field and enforce code and enforce construction standards because of my competence with the code book, with designs, with blueprint reading, with continuing education. Therefore, whenever I get into, say, a dispute, all right, Mr. Contractor, you're telling me I'm wrong? I highly doubt it, but let's have the conversation. And 9 times out of 10, I'm correct, and you are gonna fix it. Empowerment, that's how I see the code.
What can you tell me about, I love that, right? So it's about empowering our tribes, and it's maybe to keep out native, I'm sorry, but there are some shady native contractors out there too, to protect us as a people. But I'm wondering, do you know anything about the enforcement? Because I know that's gonna be a concern of our tribes as they consider adopting our codes, right? Because you guys can talk on Pine Ridge, you know, currently, we just invested $2.5 million in a new building, just, you know, outside of, near Lakota Ranch. That it's taken almost a year to get into because there were so many issues with it. There were no plans, you're talking about design and stuff, there's no plans, there's no building permitting process. So all of that is gonna take a lot before we even get to the part where we're able to enforce codes and using inspections or whatever. Is it an income generator for tribes as well?
So another way to look at it is yes, you can establish a fee and fine schedule to what you feel is adequate for your area, as well as a permit fee schedule, which is competitive for your area. So for example, Gila River looked at our major 5 jurisdictions around us to see what their fees and fine schedules are, because we don't want to feel like we're getting something for free. We don't want contractors to feel like they can get by with the easy product because they're paying next to nothing. So we look to make sure that we're not overpricing, and we also look to make sure that we're competitively pricing our permit fees. And what we also found that fines as a disciplinary tool for non-compliance on re-inspections, as soon as it hits the contractor's wallet book that I can't get another inspection until I pay this fine, they quickly become compliant. When it becomes financially destructive to their income because of multiple fails, and now they're known as a company that fails inspections, they quickly become into compliance. It's all kind of based on how much construction is within your community, but you know, we could go anywhere from a couple tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars for our small community in just permit fees and valuations, which again, we're more than proud of. What was the other part of that?
The enforcement?
The enforcement. So I say the code process as a code adoption document is a staged process. So your first step is just to legally adopt a code with an ordinance or a resolution. That is it. That is the #1 hurdle. We don't expect you to do all this in one sitting, 1 month, one legislative pass. The next step would be then to grow to having an enforcement staff. But at least you can tell someone who comes to your community that they're gonna start construction, your first question would be like, well, what code cycle are you building to? What code cycle are you building to? Because we adopted this code. So right off the bat, the construction and designers are now thinking, oh, these guys mean business. They have adopted a code, so I have to state what code I'm building to. And then, like gentleman said before, now that gives you the follow-on questions to ask. Who's doing your special inspections? Who did your pre-engineering? Where are the construction documents? Are they stamped? Are they signed? All this is covered in like chapter 1. So it gives you a tool to start beginning to ask the right questions. And it's a growing process, but it starts with simply adopting a code, and you will grow with it. And everyone in this room, ICC, we have ICC representative here. I came from Arizona. We are dedicated to answering any of your questions to start this process, because when I say Gila River started in 1960, I say that to show it takes time to get where we're at. That's 60 years to get to a point where we're 100% ICC certified with community member staffing. We learned and we grew, we learned and we grew, we learned and we grew. But if you can't do your self-performing inspections, at least you can ask to have special inspectors or third-party inspections conducted on your project, and then get those reports to ensure that they show compliance.
Just another quick question, David. It sounds like this is, has this been a job creator, right? So this is, how many different kinds of ICC inspectors are there? I mean, for example, how many inspectors does the Gila River tribe employ?
Gila River has currently 1 supervisor and 4 combination inspectors who are tasked with, because we all know the commute time from one inspection, a part of the reservation, to the next reservation, so we break down the reservation to what we call zones, zones 1 through 4, so that inspector can know his zone, his area, make, adequate use of his time by not having to traverse from one end of the reservation to the other. He can get to know all his points of contacts in that area and do his inspections there. Most of our inspectors have at least 1, all the way up to 8 certifications. I think I'm currently at 7 certifications between residential and commercial.
Right, and that's not even including any jobs that a building permitting officer, whatever, might,
Right.
create.
And what we're proud of is, what I came up through is what we call the Gila River Inspector Apprentice Program. So my supervisor was one of the first individuals to go through this as an apprentice, 0 construction experience, 0. All the way to supervisor, all the way to ICC, multiple ICC accreditations, job knowledge, field knowledge. Before I left, we recently hired a young community member who came from slinging pizzas out there in town. Came, did the interview process, approximately 25 years old. Within 4 months, he had his first ICC certification. And he shadows myself or one of the other inspectors on job sites. So we feel that the biggest strength in getting someone who has 0 construction experience is exposure to field conditions and just being able to educate and talk to them, so that what you see in the book, and which is I advocate through our WebEx trainings, is put it in real terms. If you try to read the code book as a Harry Potter novel, you're gonna get lost, you're gonna get bored, you're gonna get tired. It's not gonna make sense. You have to break it down into chunks that correlate to what you're looking at in the field. So our current apprentice is now going for his 2nd ICC certification within his first year of employment. But what I'm more proud of is him passing the test, is his ability and my confidence in him to do a residential inspection by himself. So even though he still has an apprentice title, if I had to delegate him to go do something because we're so overworked, I am confident, I am fully confident in signing off on his behalf, because he has been trained to look at the details, the fasteners, the sketches, ask questions on blueprints, but also, most importantly, he has the backbone and the integrity to say, wait, stop, something's not right. Let me take a moment. Something within the construction and the application it looks wrong. Pull out the blueprints. Wait, something still doesn't look right. Let me call my supervisor. I don't know, man, something's not right here. That's more important than knowing everything. It's more important that you have the ability to say, wait, stop.
Dustin, did you have a question about a native chapter?
Oh, So as we've been talking with the ICC, with Rick Hoffey, we're really glad to have Rick as part of our network here and helping us move forward with building codes, as well as David Jackson. There's been a conversation about creating a native arm of ICC inspectors. And I was hoping to save this for last, so we'd have a little bit of a discussion there, but that's okay. But that's something that I'm very interested in, especially here in South Dakota, with all the work Simon's doing up there, and Assistant, we're really proud of what you're doing up there, and following up with, well, they left, but our Sicangu relatives, what they're doing down there in Rosebud, making those first steps, and of course Archie Marshall's certification. What are your thoughts on a native arm of ICC? I guess that's both of you guys, you ICC individuals.
That is the goal. The goal is that we can create a network where we can offer mentorship, we can offer training, we can have a support group, really, where you become a member of this chapter, and now if you have questions, we have direct access to ICC. We can be at their board of directors meeting, we can introduce ourselves, we can help be a part of the conversation on a national, if not international level of code development, because if you think about it, a reservation is a sovereign nation. It is, in a sense, a third world community. ICC is working to help Haiti. ICC is up on board Saudi Arabia, when you have third world countries within their own national boundaries. So what this chapter would try to do is advocate for the people, the Native American people, the Native American communities, to get them the resources, to get them educated, so that we can break the cycle of this substandard stereotype, just break the rhetoric. The challenge with that right now that we're trying to overcome is money. It's going to require a funding source, either whether that's donation-based, grant-based, membership-based. I would hate to go ask our fellow community members and Native Americans, like, hey, join my group, man, but can you give me $100 to do it? I want them to be able to join and say, I have a problem. I can't afford a book. Can you get that book for me? And I have the resources to give it to them.
A couple things on that. Just a couple things on that. If you are a member, you get free training from ICC. You get, they're going to come to you and give you a free training day. The codes are voted on by members. If you're not a member, a government member, something like you're talking about, you can't vote on a code change. Just a normal public person can't go in there and have the right to vote. We can, because we pay that membership fee. We are a member. And that's great about ICC is how that process works and who gets to vote on these code changes. So I just think that's important. One other thing that I just wanted to talk about that I missed earlier was, I kind of think about the residential code as a cookbook on how to build a house. There's so many different ways, sort of recipes on how to do that. There's different foundation designs. There's different ways of framing. There's different ways of sheathing. And so don't be afraid the code is so scary. It's not, because there's a lot of different recipes on how to do it. You just have to follow one of those. Go ahead, Rick.
Regarding the chapter, right now, David and I have talked about this quite a lot, but what we'd like to do is develop what's a national chapter. We have a South Dakota Building Officials Association, and as soon as you adopt codes and become a local unit who is also a ICC member, you can have membership in South Dakota Building Officials Association. That's a great networking tool. Region 3, which includes both Dakotas, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, is another opportunity. They have an institute in the Twin Cities where it's just page after page of different courses that are being offered. Another great opportunity. But going back to the construction of this national chapter, it isn't a boundary issue. It's, and we're thinking, anybody who is an enrolled member of a tribe in the United States qualifies if they're also an ICC member. And the reason for that is they are invested by birth, in the success of, you know, tribes all across the United States. It doesn't matter if they're working in New York City, or if they're working on Pine Ridge. The thing is, everybody's got valuable experience in different areas, and that's actually the beauty of ICC as a whole, is, you know, once you start networking with people, it's like you are somehow related. And it's a wonderful community, but to create this community inside that community and to network it, I think is gonna bring just rapid advancements, or certainly, you know, knowing who to talk to. And this has been the biggest obstacle, is networking. We don't know who all the enrolled members who are code officials across the United States. We'd like to send them some mail. Please join this chapter. And part of the process is you have to have X number of people signed up to be a member of a chapter. You file with the ICC Board of Directors. You're going to create a chapter here. If the answer is yes, then you go forward, and it becomes a formal process. But the good that a chapter like that could do is going to pay huge dividends all over the nation, particularly in reservations where there isn't much money. It helps to have somebody to have your back.
One of the big things, that when Eric put together the parts in this contracting specialist office that we work for, one of the big things is we didn't know. We didn't know where to start. We didn't know who to reach out to. We were just talking, I was talking to David Spider the other day, and I said, well, it says right in the book how to start a committee and what members are, you know, you can put in that committee. So you guys, Gila River's on year 60, we're on like year 3, but the wheels are turning. We've got it in 3 years to the point to where the contractors that the tribe utilizes don't meet the prerequisites or what we require to do contracting work for the System Option Housing Authority. We took a big bit from Tyson the last time he was assistant giving his course on bonding, so we installed bonding. The insurance part of it, you have to have a B- financial rating or better, your company. So just all these little steps, and it was like pulling teeth for the contractors, but once they started getting on board, and then we threw codes in there, and that ruffled feathers again. But you know, we asked them, you know, just stay with us, hang with us, you know, try it out, you know. Next part of it, the people that were building with us never applied for a permit, whether it's electrical, whether it's building, whether it's plumbing, anything like that. So that was the next step. So now, you know, the people that build for us apply for the permits, get the permits. They have good working relationships with all the municipal inspectors, you know. A lot of times when we'd ask for an inspection, they'd schedule it out so far that it would stall the project. Now there's, you know, they have such a good relationship. Yeah, no, I'll be down there, you know, as soon as I can, and go through and get you going again. But it's a work in progress. It's a lot of work in the last 3 years that we put together. But yeah, it's just, we just keep plugging away, and you know, and hopefully we do get a native arm of ICC, or there are, you know, more and more inspectors that the coalition creates, or that each housing authority or tribe creates. But I think we're all going in the right step, you know, with us or Rosebud or Pine Ridge. We're in baby steps, but we're getting there. We're a lot further along than when we first started. So
I really commend Sister Tim for, you know, taking that initial step and taking the lead here in South Dakota for all our relatives. I really urge you to to consider this, because on our reservation, us men, we have a life expectancy of 47 years old. And improper building practices. There's been a study that came out by IHS that has direct links from sick houses that can't breathe, that have a ton of mold inside. And we grew up in those houses, we breathe them in, and there are direct links to increased occurrences of upper and lower respiratory illnesses in our people. And I mean, last year, 11 guys I grew up with or around passed away. You know, played a lot of basketball tournaments with some of these guys, but I think about bad conditions. You put a wood stove inside a house, one of these sick houses that doesn't breathe right, combined with red, black, yellow mold, and as a child, you're breathing in combustible air. You go through some trauma, adopt some coping skills like smoking. It just accelerates your timeline. So I encourage you to think really hard about building codes. Like Simon says, it was tough in the beginning. There was a lot of pushback, but those baby steps they've come along.
I gotta commend that as well. Like coming from Arizona and the flight, those words that the gentleman said about starting and being in the groundwork, that's inspirational. And that's what I mean. Like by no means am I up here telling you that Gila River has it all figured out or Gila River is this. You know, I stand on the shoulders of those who are past me who put the groundwork in place. And there's a gentleman right next to me doing the groundwork right now. So imagine he's going to be the godfather of the codes for his community. Go kiss the ring, everything. So that's inspirational, and that's what I always convey when ICC or other individuals work out with Native American communities. Is I'm not here to push my belief on a Native American community. I want to hear about your stories and your struggles because I have to be honorable and respectful of your individual cultures and the challenges and challenges that you have faced. We're all different, and we've already had so many oppressors try to enforce their will upon us. I'm here to show you something, and I hope we can work together.
Love it, thank you. I'm just gonna ask a question. Most of the time I know the answers to the questions I ask, but what are next steps? I mean, we've got some interest here, and we've got excellent resources. What would you guys recommend? I mean, for any communities that really want to move forward with adopting codes?
I would say, give your number and your point of contact to Richard Hoffey, ICC regional member.
I have cards.
He will get in contact with me, and we will start the conversation. We can give you, ICC has sample proclamations and documents to adopt a code. We can start being part of your WebEx as a part of your discussions with your leadership. You have a gentleman here who's local who's going to be able to be a part of that conversation as well. If you really are committed or at least want to begin the interest, speak to Mr. Hoffey, and I think he can point you in the right contact, and we can really commit to getting the first step done.
I'm gonna add to that list, call the coalition too. We're vested in this. We know this is important, Dustin or I or whoever you can find on the coalition, again, use the website, but be great if we could have continued discussions on this, you know, before next year, when we're having the same get together. So anyway, look forward to working with you.
I would do also one recommendation. From my experience working with council trying to get code adopted, I would give them a courtesy. So I'm not sure how your councils or governments operate, but if you can get on the agenda first and tell them that, hey, we're anticipating doing this in the coming year, what are your thoughts? We want to make you a part of the process. So do that type of thing and just kind of put it on their radar and allow them to be a part of the process.
Any other questions? All right, excellent. Thank you, our panel, Dustin.